Yeah, tomorrow, unless you want to come back tomorrow night for special.
We'll now call to order our 4:30 Finance Committee meeting. Let the record reflect all members are present except for Mr. Alcorn. Item 1, request approval to pay list of bills submitted through December 15th, 2023.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Nakam, second by Mr. Mathern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval to pay all bills submitted from December 18th, 2023 through year end.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Carter.
No, let's do a motion, everything first.
There's no discrepancy with nothing.
Oh, no, that's a normal,
Okay.
because we don't have another meeting till mid-January. We can't hold bills
Sure.
till then.
Motion by Mr. Carter, second by Mr. Nakam. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Review budget comparison statements for major funds of November 23.
Nothing to review here. This is just a line item, but because we have final amended budgets on here, we take no action.
Motion approved, no action.
Motion by Mr. Nakam,
Second.
second by Mr. Mathern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval of cooperative agreement renewal between Assumption Parish Police Jury and Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office to house female pretrial detainees.
The district attorney has reviewed and is okay. ADA has reviewed it and it's okay. And it's just a renewal. So we do recommend
No
approval.
increase in fees.
No.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Irvin,
Second.
second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Request approval of engagement letter with Eisner Amper LLP for audit services for 2023.
Can you comment upon, like, look like I saw a cost associated with that? That's a
Oh, yeah.
reasonable cost?
It's not
Based
reasonable,
on
but,
what? Yeah.
this is, Eisner Ampner is our, Coastal in Netherville, the same company that we are under contract with. They have been bought out by this bigger company, Eisner Ampner, and they have provided us the engagement letters. And that is the fee, $91,075, which is an increase from last year by almost $9,000. There's no explanation except the requirements are greater and greater every year. Therefore, the costs are greater and greater every year.
Can we shop that? Can we go out?
We under contract right now. This is our last year. We have to shop it next year.
Okay. So move. We got that.
Motion by Mr. Nakam,
Second.
second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Request approval and accept the final amended budgets for 2023.
Okay. Okay, general fund, total revenues, $2,450,957. Total expenditures, $2,809,776. Transfers in, $48,831. Transfers out, $607,248. Beginning fund balance, $3,029,016. Ending fund balance, $2,111,780. 1%, total revenues, $3,296,439. Total expenditures, $1,726,817. Transfers out, $989,618. Beginning fund balance, $4,306,220. Ending fund balance, $4,886,224. Road and Bridge, total revenues, $298,120. Total expenditures, $1,228,104. Transfers in, $994,400. Transfers out, $10,890. Beginning fund balance, $1,425,795. Ending fund balance, $1,479,321. Off-duty officer fund. Total revenues, $34,243. Total expenditures, $21,605. Transfers out, $12,440. Beginning fund balance, $7,802. Ending fund balance, $8,000. Criminal court fund, total revenues, $216,133. Total expenditures, $288,372. Transfers in, $82,440. Transfers out, $8,986. Beginning fund balance, $7,771. Ending fund balance, $8,986. Library fund, total revenues, $1,308,174. Total expenditures, $1,013,755. Beginning fund balance, $2,929,757. ending fund balance $3,224,176. Road lighting district number one, total revenues $152,365, total expenditures $87,653. Beginning fund balance $945,969, ending fund balance $1,010,681. Consolidated road lighting number one, total revenues $93,048, total expenditures $59,248. Beginning fund balance $350,715, ending fund balance $384,515. OEP federal grants, total revenues $1,109,828, total expenditures $1,323,915. Transfers in $413,168. Beginning fund balance $2,455,702. Ending fund balance $2,654,783. Office of Emergency Preparedness, total revenues $175,876. Total expenditures $361,353. Transfers in $145,000. Transfers out $722. Beginning fund balance $58,616. Ending fund balance $17,417. Road fund, total revenues $1,508,098. Total expenditures $197,354. Transfers out $75,000. Beginning fund balance $2,068,948. Ending fund balance $3,304,692. Partisan sales tax, which is drainage, total revenues $765,147. Total expenditures $1,112,024. Transfers out $28,015. Beginning fund balance $1,649,200. Ending fund balance $1,274,308. 911 communications, total revenue $225,367. Total expenditures $274,161. Beginning fund balance $512,608. Ending fund balance $463,814. Shreveport Bell River Fire District, total revenues $295,800. Total expenditures $280,808. Transfers out $1,000. Beginning fund balance $194,197. Ending fund balance $208,189. Hankerville Fire District, total revenues $297,168. Total expenditures $282,179. Transfers out of $1,000. Beginning fund balance $194,200. Ending fund balance $208,189. Napoleonville Fire District, total revenues $262,867. Total expenditures $251,641. Transfers out $1,000. Beginning fund balance $172,779. Ending fund balance $183,005. Bayou Lewis Fire District, total revenues $163,866. Total expenditures $158,848. Transfers out of $1,000. Beginning fund balance $108,538. Ending fund balance $112,556. Council on Aging, total revenues $1,264,650. Total expenditures $1,255,435. Beginning fund balance $729,234. Ending fund balance $738,449. Labradorville Fire District, total revenues $216,592. Total expenditures $197,989. Transfers out $1,000. Beginning fund balance $141,354. Ending fund balance $158,957. Public Buildings Fund, total revenues $291,535. Total expenditures $447,137. Beginning fund balance $1,288,647. Ending fund balance $1,133,045. Louisiana Cooperative Extension, total revenues $282,808. Total expenditures $222,677. Beginning fund balance $1,052,622. Ending fund balance $1,112,753. Library Board Fund, total revenues $9,539. Total expenditures $7,310. Beginning fund balance $42,227. Ending fund balance $44,456. Lower Bell River, number 12, total revenues $1,758. Total expenditures $1,263. Beginning fund balance $10,194. Ending fund balance $10,689. Labradorville Drainage District number 3, total revenues $2,289. Total expenditures $242. Beginning fund balance $25,031. Ending fund balance $27,078. Monterey Drainage District, total revenues $116. Total expenditures $11. Beginning fund balance $11,124. Ending fund balance $11,229. Part-time Drainage District, total revenues $250. Total expenditures $10. Beginning fund balance $24,468. Ending fund balance $24,708. Landry subdivision drainage district, total revenues 22,046, total expenditures 27,957. Beginning fund balance 35,236, ending fund balance 29,325. Oak Ridge subdivision drainage district, total revenues 5,774, total expenditures 5,560. Beginning fund balance 21,410, ending fund balance 21,624. Northwest side LA 70, total revenues $6,049. Total expenditures $5,624. Beginning fund balance $7,666. Ending fund balance $8,091. Knott's Drainage District, total revenues $2,985. Total expenditures $19,368. Beginning fund balance $34,892. Ending fund balance $18,509. LA 70 to Lee Drive, total revenues $8,961. Total expenditures $3,667. Beginning fund balance $32,251. Ending fund balance $37,545. Veterans Park, total revenues $255,931. Total expenditures $244,756. Transfers in $10,165. Transfers out $11,165. Beginning fund balance $355,313. Ending fund balance $365,488. Assumption Drainage District number 2, total revenues $2,402. Total expenditures $8,367. Beginning fund balance $238,459. Ending fund balance $232,494. Platenville Drainage District number 5, total revenues $941. Total expenditures $121. Beginning fund balance $21,958. Ending fund balance $22,778. Bertrandville Recreation District, total revenues $24. Total expenditures $5. Beginning fund balance $22,348. Ending fund balance $2,367. Bayou Piedport North Drainage, total revenues $676. Total expenditures $614. Beginning fund balance $1,963. Ending fund balance $2,025. Piedport Settlement District, total revenues $1,222. Total expenditures $1,453. Beginning fund balance $3,855. Ending fund balance $3,624. Comesa 2021 bonds, total revenues $427,831. Total expenditures $3,549,258. Transfers out $413,737. Beginning fund balance $11,081,986. Ending fund balance $7,546,822. Lower Texas Drainage District, total revenues $4,986. Total expenditures $448. Transfers in $10,687. Beginning fund balance $4,209. Ending fund balance $19,434. Ward 1 Recreation District, total revenues $12,962. Total expenditures $28,528. Beginning fund balance $28,257. Ending fund balance $12,691. Opioid abatement, total revenues $101,367. Expenditures at $0. Beginning fund balance $0. Ending fund balance $101,367. Bayou Lewis Gravity Drainage District, total revenues $74,076. Total expenditures $28,586. Transfers in $17,328. Beginning fund balance $80,562. Ending fund balance $143,380. Bayou Lewis Recreation District, total revenues $237,264. Total expenditures $236,470. Transfers out $7,500. Beginning fund balance $502,062. Ending fund balance $495,356. Piedport Bell River Bond Sinking Fund, total revenues $95. Total expenditures $99,358. Transfers in $99,358. Beginning fund balance $3. Ending fund balance $98. Solid waste, total revenues $2,620,623. Total expenditures $2,627,900. Beginning fund balance $346,133. Ending fund balance after enterprise adjustments $359,315. OEP Special Industry, total revenues $102,875. Total expenditures $92,919. Beginning fund balance $62,903. Ending fund balance after enterprise adjustments $411,613. Mosquito Abatement Fund, total revenues $122,540. Total expenditures $206,754. Beginning fund balance, $276,034. Ending fund balance after enterprise fund adjustments, $369,743. Consolidated Sewer District Enterprise Fund, total revenues, $111,576. Total expenditures, $245,100. Beginning fund balance, $3,619. Ending fund balance after adjustments, $58,483. Gulfport Recreation Bond Construction Fund, total revenues, $659. Total expenditures, $90,602. Bond proceeds, $1 million. Transfers out, $910,057. Beginning and ending fund balance, zero. Community Development Fund, total revenues, $3,000. Total expenditures, $287,232. Transfers in, $281,121. Beginning fund balance, $25,419. Ending fund balance, $22,308. Energy Assistance Program, total revenues, $388,566. Total expenditures, the same, beginning and ending fund balance, zero. Emergency Food and Shelter, total revenues, $10,188. Expenditures, the same, beginning and ending fund balance, zero. Section 8 Housing, total revenues, $565,186. Expenditures, $557,155. Beginning fund balance, $41,932. Ending fund balance, $49,963. Community Services Block Grant, total revenues, $77,552. Expenditures, the same, beginning and ending fund balance, zero. CDBG Mitigation LWI Quincy and Canal, total revenues, zero. Expenditures, zero. Beginning and ending fund balance, zero. Capital outlay repaving of Lee Drive, total revenues, $668,500. Expenditures, the same, beginning and ending fund balance, zero. Capital outlay Platinville Drainage, total revenues, $1,708. Total expenditures, $2,277. Transfers in, $569. Beginning and ending fund balance, zero. Capital outlay Assumption Parish Pumps and Drainage, total revenues, $10,000. Expenditures, the same, beginning and ending fund balance, zero. Community Action Agency Advisory Board, no activity, beginning and ending fund balance, $14. Line item appropriation fire hydrants, no activity, no beginning or ending fund balance. Local Government Assistance Program, front loading trailer motor, total revenues, $9,110. Total expenditures, $20,000. Transfers in, $10,890. Beginning and ending fund balance, zero. LGAP of Community Water Enrichment Fund, the raw water intake, no activity. Local Government Assistance Program, courthouse renovations, no activity. The reason why these are no activity is because they're pushed to next year. Recreation Trails Program, the canoe kayak docks, total revenues, $163,177. Total expenditures, $225,559. Transfers in, $62,382. Beginning and ending fund balance, zero. Low Income Water Assistance Program, total revenues, $141,356. Expenditures, the same, beginning and ending fund balance, zero. Land and Water Conservation Fund, project budget, total revenues, $1 million. Total expenditures, $1,841,500. Transfers in, $841,500. Beginning and ending fund balance, zero. American Rescue Act, project budget, total revenues, $4,252,070. Total expenditures, $2,914,590. Beginning, transfers out, $1,337,480. Beginning and ending fund balance, zero. American Rescue Water Sector Program, total revenues, $2,622,520. Total expenditures, $6,532,927. Transfers in, $3,910,407. Beginning and ending fund balance, zero. Repaving of Lee Drive, total revenues, $1 million. Expenditures, the same, beginning and ending fund balance, zero. I noticed on this packet that solid waste was excluded, so I will just read that to you. Solid waste has a beginning fund balance of $346,133. Revenues are estimated at $2,620,623. Expenditures are estimated at $2,627,900, leaving an ending fund balance after the enterprise adjustments at $343,292. So I do present this in the form of a motion. Projects that are not going to be completed this year have been transferred to 2024. So don't be overly excited if you look at the ending fund balance and think they're great. It's the money was moved to a year in which it will actually be incurred.
Can you shed some light, Kim, on the opioid?
The opioid is money that we received for opioids mitigation. We have to come up with some types of programs and different things. There are certain criteria that you have to do to meet to spend that money. We have not done any of that yet.
We've got some guidance on that.
We've got guidance on it, but we're not in the healthcare business, so it's nothing as far as a service that we currently offer. So we'd have to be creative. We'd have to probably partner with another agency and try to use that money. And we just not have come to the forefront yet.
Can we partner with the local hospital, St. Elizabeth?
I mean, we'd have to come up with a plan.
So there was the idea that was already presented about supplementing the salary of the
Yes, I've reached
counselor.
out to them and they're not giving me much help on that.
But I've also been approached by the principal at the high school and doing some sort of a education presentation to the kids about the vaping and you know, and drug use. And I think that might be
Start.
a good area that we can spend it and actually have an impact on what the intent of the settlement was for, right? The settlement was the nationwide opioid settlement that we were involved in. So it's you know, to help deter
Educate.
and get people off the opioids that are, you know, that are addicted to them. And there's a growing problem right now at our high school with, you know, with vaping
Yeah,
and
man.
the chemicals that are put in the vaping pens. So that's something that I was approached, you know, it would be
That's a good idea.
a joint effort between us and the school board, but they did ask us if we can see if we can help them with that. And I think that is a funding source that we
Do
can.
they have some options as far as who would come and put this program together? 'Cause
They have, and they've sent me some estimates, and I'll just say he's pursuing alternatives. The estimates that he had was one person coming in for one day for about $30,000.
One day?
And so
Crazy.
since that initial estimate, he came back and he's approaching others to try to see if he can find somebody to come in that can, but he understands that that was kind of a unrealistic number, but that's what that market is getting right now for those traveling the country, you know, having an impact on the kids. So
That's the word I was gonna use. You think it would be that impactful one day and you perhaps get everybody in that session for one day, just not.
I can't imagine.
it doesn't seem reasonable,
Yeah.
but and that's why he's exploring other options right now. So just want to let you know that is a conversation that I've had with the principal.
I just had a question, Kim. Entity number 131, Assumption Drainage District, District number 5. I know either the last meeting or prior meeting, we allocated some funds to our drainage district. And we pulled some funds to. go
Well, you
towards some-
you didn't allocate that
I
to
didn't.
transfer to that drainage district. It was set up as a project within drainage.
I think I want to transfer it to the drainage district. I
Can
can
we
do
do it
that in
next year?
24. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, since this
That's fine.
closes it out.
I just looked at the numbers.
Right.
That was the intent.
It was set up as a drainage project with maintenance, so it's
Okay.
designated for them, but we can make that transfer in 2024.
All
That's-
right. And as it pertains to entity, as it pertains to the capital outlay Platinville Drainage District, I think entity 39, those were the funds just was used as of to date. The $1,708.
Right,
Okay, good.
and everything else we had to put to that.
And what about the, also the general fund allocation, state general fund allocation of 600,000 that was going to the improvements to the Paddy Park? That's not going to be in the budget for 2024?
We don't have any documentation.
We did sign a CEA and
That's
sent it
okay.
back. Yeah,
Well, I mean, if we're not doing construction on it in 2023, it's not gonna be. in there.
okay,
It probably got put to 2024,
okay,
because we had to take out projects that were not being done
okay, all right,
and close them out.
okay.
So you
Thank
shouldn't see that in here.
Thank you.
I entertain a motion to approve and accept the final amended budgets for 23.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mathern,
Second.
second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Adjourn.
I have one deviation for Finance Committee, and it is regarding the LAWAP additional funding received for water assistance. Any motion to deviate?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mathern, second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So this is approval for president to sign the LAWAP Second Amendment for $11,000.
Yes. We received that additional funding to assist clients with the water. We have, the money is there, but the director has to sign it, and you have to sign it. So once you sign it and the director signs it, we'll be able to assist clients because we have a limited time to spend it.
So if I'm, and I don't know if you're not tooting your horn, but what happens with this is by utilizing everything that you had, spending everything, you wind up getting more funding when there is an allotment of funding that's still in excess, and we'll continue to get more funding to serve the.
And Ms. Bernard, just for clarification, this is to help with assistance for water utility.
Water bills,
Water.
only to clients who have not received water assistance. We do that for clients because we started taking names this month, and the ones who did not receive a water in the past, we got them on the side, just waiting for the funding to go, signatures on the funding, and they say we can start.
So probably 1st of January, this money should be good to be allocated to go to try to help assist, or you think it's gonna be a later date?
Just
Oh,
waiting
no,
for signatures.
I gotta send it back off to the state, so by the time they get it and come back
Okay.
next
guess
year.
But once Leroy
Signs
signs
it,
it and they
they
sign
sign
it, we're gonna be ready to go. I don't wanna have to wait until,
Okay,
So with the names that you got already on the side, are you still gonna have funding left for new clients?
the names that we have already, we received those names for the clients that came in for Lahit this month. And if they did not receive water, we are able to give them water assistance.
I'm saying, do you know that you have any funding left after those clients right there?
I don't know. I really don't know because I don't know how many we have already. That's ready.
So what Chris is
Again-
implying is those folk that typically get served, and then if they've received, as what she just indicated, they qualify for that too. So Chris is asking, will there be funding for anybody else, is what he's asking.
First come, first serve. And if you need water assistance and if you have not received water before, we can help you. But again,
In this
do have
calendar year
some
or
clients-
ever? What's the time period is when they receive assistance?
from the first time we started getting the contract for water assistance, but that's been a year ago. Yeah, a year ago, year and a half. And that's not that's the state federal rules. Any other
I got a
questions?
motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Alcorn, second by Mr. Johnson. Any public comment on this deviation item? Second call, final call. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Motion adjourned. Motion adjourned by Mr. Carter,
Second.
second by Mr. Nakane. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
She's not there until pivotal.
It's 5 o'clock. We'll get the personnel committee meeting started. Let the record reflect all members are present except Mr. Pineville. Number 1, request 3% increase for all department heads. Myra?
Yeah, so we had, to give everybody else their raises throughout the year.
And, I think now is, our department has really doing a great job and I have no complaint about what they're doing. And I'd like to make a motion to accept the 3% to the department heads.
You can't make the motion because you're not on the committee,
Not
but
on.
I'll make the motion.
All right.
Motion by Mr. Nakane,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Irvin, all in favor?
All right.
Only thing I object to that because we didn't give our employees across the board raise. But we're gonna give the supervisor across the board raise, it doesn't make sense.
Give them a 2% plus a,
There's a merit raise.
merit raise.
I know, but
We
we
Up to
3%.
3%.
I understand what y'all are saying, but in all the years past, we give employees across the board raise, which made sense. But this year here, we had a lot of pushback on giving the employees across the board raise.
But they get
But then y'all come right back and y'all wanna get a supervisor across the board raise. That doesn't make sense.
My motion stands.
I think we've already voted.
We voted.
We voted.
Okay, motion carried.
All right.
Item number 2, request approval of recommendations for distribution of excess increases for 2024.
Yes, I sent this to you all again. We had to make some modifications as requested at the last meeting. The 2 retirees, you will see, based on their evaluations, there is a merit increase in there. So these are the new numbers for the distribution.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Blanchard.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but, Mario, you want to say something?
You want to deviate or you want, how y'all want to do that?
Deviate from what?
No, you can't deviate. I'll second that.
Motion
I'll
by
second.
Mr. Blanchard, second by Mr. Nakane, all in favor?
All right.
Any nays? Motion carried, passes.
Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned by Mr. Nakane.
Wait, no, before you go with, I know where Mario was going with that. And this is not to object to anything anybody has here. I do know, and I've mentioned it before, and I know you guys have tried to, you guys, that is Kim, Paul, and First Steve, you all have debited up the funds that was in excess the best you could. I only have asked that we try to realize the meaningful gain that we got this year from our personnel relative to the quality and quantity of work that we have had done relative to drainage. And it's not as though y'all don't know where I'm going with that. And there was, and I can't speak of names, but there was, by far, there's folk that have done exceptionally well. And that's why I know I personally asked that those persons funding be adjusted as best you could, see that they're recognized. I also know that there's one in particular that has done, it's caused some controversy, but the work has really stood out in many parts of the parish.
It saves us a lot of money.
Whereas I know I've got over $300,000 of levies that are completed, and relative to using Gomesa funds or not, off of a parish dime. And I was just wondering if I just know that we all know that said party was seeking to get close to a certain amount, and I just want to ask you all: do you think we've done our best job in trying to reach that, and not possibly lose such a person? It's actually on comment without having the clear specificity of saying who I'm talking about. Yep, we know who I'm saying.
My comment is that person is not the only one. So how do you handle the other employees that
I'm
might
talking
not?
to the jurors right now. Okay?
But Pat, also, a certain person is hard for a certain job to do a good job. So wasn't that the object, to do a good job?
Yes, yes, I agree to that. And it also was mentioned when the person came in that we said we'll try to get you there as fast as we could. Now,
Did we say that or what?
well,
No, well, no, we.
All right.
There wasn't no we in that.
I said that.
All right.
You
So-
might have said it.
I absolutely say it, most definitely.
You made promises that you couldn't make.
I most definitely said it. So let me
You
be
made
clear
a
on that.
promise that you want us to keep.
Well, he's a very good personnel for us.
So-
My question is how, for us to consider how we can get the person to, not just that person, in line with what Ms. Kim was saying, even others, to maintain the persons that we do have. So yet you hear me speaking of one person, and by all means, Mr. Paul can tell you that I've spoken about all operators.
That's why we did an evaluation process. We evaluated employees to rank them in with the skills they have and the performance they're doing.
Mhm.
And now we come in full circle back to that same, so we going in circles. I mean, I understand your point, and I understand your point too about saving us money. I think he allows us to do projects. I don't know if he's specifically saving us money, but he does allow us to do more projects. Him and all of our competent employees allows us to do more projects than we've done in the past. I agree with that, yes.
But was he hired to do that?
To save us money or do more projects.
To do what?
He was hired to do a job that, to do, that is correct.
Do it.
So, Mr. Johnson, I'll tell you, I feel that I, as a member of the jury, gave the department heads the flexibility that they needed to set the pay scales where they
Right.
needed. We gave them an opportunity to split the funds how they saw fit.
I understand
And I
that.
follow their recommendations of what they did. They see these employees day in and day out. I understand your point.
I'm not knocking any of you. What I am saying is I know what we are getting. I know what we have, and that is not to take away from anyone else we have. I know we're getting contractual type services off of a parish dime, and I'm just
I
making
just
y'all,
don't, I
just
just
making
don't
y'all
wanna
aware.
lose it.
So the only thing that I'll add to that is, and Mr. LeBlanc, I asked you to make sure that your employees that meet the criteria that we set for the 3 different operator levels, that if there's any employees that have learned more skills or something that should be moved up, please bring that to us. And then that adjustment can be made aside from this hourly adjustment if an employee changed roles or assumed a new position.
Not in favor of that as well.
I agree with
Absolutely.
that point, but get back to what you just, the statement you made, y'all said a while ago, that employee is doing the work he was hired to do. It falls in that line of operator 3, you know, to be proficient in every piece of equipment on a yard. So that's, you know, he's,
I was
I understand
speaking
his point.
to
Yes.
all employees, not a particular employee. I'm just saying employees in general that have advanced their skills and maybe meet the criteria now to be an operator 1 or an operator 2.
yeah,
That we,
you know, yes, when that ever comes to fruition, I always bring that to the jury. We haven't had anybody, everybody's in their position right now that they need to be in, and that they're getting paid to do. We haven't had anybody that's exceeded that in the last couple of months. But get back to Mr. Johnson, understand his point about pay, but this is a public agency. We have to, it's a unique place to work, and he knew that coming in, you know, and I'm not trying to put the man down. He does do good work, but we also have a multitude of employees that do good work, and I wish I could give all my employees 26, 28, $27 an hour, but it's not in the budget. It's not possible.
But y'all could have given all the employees across the board raise, and this jury chose not to. Leroy, you, Jamie, y'all push for the merit system, and then y'all come right back and approve for the employees to get across the board raise. How can you tell the employees that's fair?
Because it came on a recommendation of the personnel chair that met with all the department heads. And if you remember last week, we asked to do evaluations for the department heads. The employees refused to do them. So therefore, the committee chair went, sat down with the department heads and did his own evaluation and gave us his
Did y'all
recommendation.
get an email out saying the employees refuse to do all evaluation?
Today I emailed.
Email who?
Everyone.
What time you did that day?
Two
Two
o'clock?
something, the meeting is at 4 something? Come on, Mike. Come on, today at 2 something, the meeting is at 4
I
something.
finished
I
meeting
don't check
with-
my email every 10 minutes.
I finished meeting around 11, 12 o'clock.
I just think the decision that y'all made is bad. Employees call me constantly. I don't know about y'all, but they call me constantly about different stuff. And this right here is gonna be an issue.
But you know what, Chris? If you'd let the department head take care of the employees and you take care of what goes on up here, you wouldn't have that problem.
Let me tell you something, Mr. Irvin. A lot of stuff that's being done that you have no idea about, a lot of other jurors have no idea about. Just like we spoke right there in session of last week. Y'all had no idea what took place. Some of y'all say y'all didn't have no idea because we don't get notified when things happen. Department heads don't send out emails, some of them. We gotta find it out from the employees. Some of y'all don't have a conversation with the employees, so y'all don't know about it.
Well, some of the employees that's disgruntled, they're gonna tell you anything they want to tell you.
But most of it's true.
You gotta go by your supervisors. You got them to take care of the people below them, so you have to
Something come to me, I call the department head and ask about it. And most of the time, it's factual, but nothing's being done about it. But we're gonna continue having that problem.
Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned by Mr. Blanchard. Second by Ms. Nakane, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Started with the insurance committee meeting. Let the record reflect that all members are here except for Mr. Pondell. We only have one item on the agenda to discuss and approve the 2024 workers' compensation renewal proposal. Just let me elaborate a little bit. Per our last meeting, I've been engaged with a lot of communication with LWCC, also our third party vendor, which is Simmons and Savoy. I know the chairperson, Mr. Blanchard, asked for something in writing to make sure that services and resources that we requested to be provided by LWCC will be rendered. I know we was on some email thread today as it pertains to the request. I do feel good as I've been in communication with LWCC and their counterparts, everything that the resources that we need, not only to keep us in a safe manner, keep us in compliance as we work day to day for the services that we provide to our residents. They are here to help us. They are here to hold us by the hand and get us started. Yes, it's going to take a little bit effort from our management team to help drive this, but they're going to provide the appropriate resources. And if there's some disciplinary actions that need to take place, because we have employees that are not working in a safe and proper manner, then that's what it's going to be. But we cannot, as an agency, as an entity, fall back to where we was in 2022. I know Ms. Torres took the liberty to go ahead and get another quote from CCSMI. And I know we also have our remaining quote from the LWCC. Would you like to share some more comments as pertains to what I've just said?
Covered it all. Just in the future going forward, if there's any problems or lack of communication between LWCC and now, I just need to let us know so we can get involved. They're really go above and beyond and help y'all with anything y'all need in regards to training, safety, and even setting up all the resources to keep all that in law. So
We just gotta ask.
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of said, I guess, in suggestion maybe during the initial inspections, and maybe it was just a lack of communication, not understanding everything fully and how they work. And we didn't realize y'all wasn't being provided what y'all needed. So I'll probably be touching base too every so often just to make sure that it's going smoothly so it doesn't happen again.
So Jeff, just to let you know, I had a chance to view the site of LWCC. LWCC, look at their site, what resources they have. We're going to get on that site from a parish agency. I don't know, Mr. Paul, if it's going to be you or it's going to be Mr. Blankenship or it's going to be Ms. Nikki, who's going to be our point of contact that's going to manage the site. LWCC will be coming here as on, if not monthly basis, but quarterly basis. They're here. They're going to be coming when we have meetings. They have mobile units. They have it all. They really have it all to put us in the best position so we never go back to 2022 or try to prevent some of the things that had happened in the past. And we even talked about infractions that might have happened to where, you know what, there was an investigator that said, oh no, no, we're gonna fight this one. So they had it. We just gotta utilize it, and they're willing to hold us by the hand and get us to where we need to be. So I'm in favor. I know I'm the chair, but if y'all got any questions as pertains to renewal with them, I'm all in favor.
So I have one question for Paul. Has the communication been cleared up with I know the initial visit was with Nikki. They explained to her how to use the website and so forth. If you talked to her about getting that information
Correct.
relayed to you and to the other department, other members in the department?
It's a work in progress. Both my ladies, with the holidays, they've been off, so I hadn't had the specific conversation with her, but Michelle's been very helpful and she said she was willing to come into our office after the first and get with me and Nikki, and we will have some discussions, how to use everything. She's been very helpful. We'll make that work. We'll get with Simmons and Savoy with Michelle, and she'll come in after the first, and we're gonna put everything together. But our staff's been off the last couple of weeks, so I hadn't off and on, so I hadn't had the conversation yet with her to discuss it. But we did talk to Michelle, and she was willing to come, so. we just got her scheduled.
LWCC will come along with
Michelle.
Michelle. We're gonna all be together to make sure this run the way it's supposed to run.
They're gonna make sure it gets set up this time and everything goes smooth.
Perfect.
And they're excited about helping, because they want.
They are.
Motion to approve LWCC for the sum of 151,366.
Second.
I got a motion by Mr. Nakane, got a second by Mr. Diaz, all in favor? All opposed, ayes have it, motion carried. Motion to adjourn. Motion by the chair, second by Mr. Diaz, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, meeting adjourned.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started with the engineering grant committee meeting. All members are present except for Mr. Pondville. First item is the update on the project status and funding sources for GIS engineering.
Good evening, all. Kevin Nazar with GIS Engineering. I talked with Jacob earlier, so he didn't have really too much to update other than he has a meeting on the LWI that he's going to be monitoring tomorrow. So hopefully have some good news for on that. other than that, looking forward to 2024 and how the year goes.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, y'all.
I like that.
I like the jacket.
Like the jacket, bro.
Yeah, well, cut the lights
I
off.
think the lights on.
That's my favorite holiday. I'm all about Christmas.
Yeah,
You're right, yeah, you're right.
Good.
Just to let everybody know, the project that he's talking about that's gonna be voted on tomorrow is the Bayou St. Vincent project for the roughly $9 million to do the dredging of that outfall.
Great. Good deal.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Next item, request approval and authorize the president to sign the amendment to the water sector program contract with Infinity Engineering Consultant LLC.
So,
Megan left this with me. She said it was a necessary amendment. It's for an additional $194,385, bringing the adjusted amount to $709,955. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not really sure what the amendment.
so moved.
It's, just so everybody knows what we're voting on.
Yeah, yeah.
At the Infinity, Brian and Megan attended the Water Sector Commission meeting last week where they approved the increase in scope that we had funded. It was pending their approval for that increase in scope. So this amendment reflects basically the increase in engineering that goes with that increased scope.
Leroy, did you see that task 3 is scratched out? Is that correct?
Yes. And the reason why is the original scope had the Peterbilt Lane increased capacity to handle the volume from Ewellville, Virginia Street. But that plan is not going to be increased now because Ewell, Virginia is going to have its own collection system.
That's a win.
Okay, so we have a motion by Ron,
Hopefully.
second by Michael. All in favor? Opposed? Update on the Tactical Landing Project. This ought to be quick. Two of them's not here.
Yes, they were working today, completing the restrooms. A little snag installing the last, actually, the last soap dispenser was going in and drill hit a little water line. They're in the process. They're gonna repair that, get it fixed. So hopefully, once we get that settled, at some point, we would then call in the fire marshal's office to come do an inspection on that building and get occupancy.
Did they put the AC in it? Did they do that today?
Cameras. Security cameras.
Yeah, are up. Cameras are up.
No,
No, the brains in it.
And then the RJ11 cable that's coming from the power pole that was forward up to the facility, that needs to be kind of straightened up a little bit too. So the wire's just hanging.
That's it's a temporary run that Spectrum makes whenever they're installing. Typically, they get you wired up and running, and then they come back after, usually like a week later or whatever, and kind of tidy it up and put it in some kind of casing.
They're not coming back.
On the
You know?
cameras, the antennas were shipped on Monday. And they're waiting for tech to make it out, hopefully before the new year, if not the week after.
What's the status on the bulkhead evaluation and redesign proposals?
We're coordinating with the attorneys and the third-party engineer. I actually sent a message to them today, just as a follow-up. I have not heard back. Like I said, it wasn't but a few minutes ago. I actually was able to get a message out to Seneca because I heard from my attorney this afternoon. Unfortunately, he was out with surgery yesterday, so I got some of that information a little late, but we are working on that.
Any estimated time for completion to have that for us to consider?
It shouldn't take very long. I expect to have the requested design probably right after the first of the year.
Thank you.
All right, update on courthouse renovation.
Yeah, I can give that. The architect sent a contractual agreement, was it Mike? That's what it was?
Yes.
Mike has actually looked over it and he's given his okay, it looks good.
Yep.
So once that, we'll present it to the jury after the first meeting. Once we get a contractual agreement with this architect, we can come back and they'll draw up a scope of work. And once that scope of work is drawn up, we'll present it to the jury. So that's where we at right now. Some paperwork's got to be done first. So we come back with a scope.
And this pertains to the 100,000 gap funding.
Correct, that's correct.
So
Their funding will come out of that gap.
So they'll start with the bathroom.
Correct. I'll start with the bathrooms.
So the roof was paid for by the storm, right? Storm
Correct.
insurance money, right?
That is correct.
you know, this is for the bathroom renovations.
Have a contract already?
No.
You allocated a gap money for that repair.
So we had a contract already for the
Brian
Maybe I'm
never-
wrong. Maybe I'm
Brian
wrong.
never had an official scope because when he thought he had a scope, the judges intervened and wanted to take a look at it and
Okay.
revisit it.
That's right.
So on the, maybe, let me just give a little bit more. We've had a couple meetings with the judge and the clerk of court and the sheriff regarding the overall condition of the courthouse and basically the work that needs to be done in that area. And this architect is an architect that designed the Ascension Parish Courthouse that has some features in it that the sheriff and the judges would like to see our courthouse have as it regards to safety and where they bring in the inmates and and how they separate it, what bathroom facilities they use and things like that. So this project is kind of just introducing them into the courthouse, and then we're gonna have to go into a bigger project to see, is the courthouse essentially salvageable? Can it be renovated, or do we need to look at replacing? And it's, we're gonna need somebody to look at it. With the extent of the water and termite damage that it has, is gonna need a professional to look at it and give us some recommendations. But this scope covered under this contract is specifically for the bathroom renovations in the gap.
Don't we have that, don't we have the courthouse renovations and capital outlay? Did we put that as a project into the capital outlay projects? And if we did, how much money did we ask for?
I don't think-
We don't have that information.
Okay, update on Jolie Moore Street.
Actually, the next two items, we are looking to advertise those after the first of the year. Particularly with the Bertrandville one, will be, as I stated in the previous meeting, we will be providing inverts as needed to the Public Works Department so that they can do that work in-house.
Update on Gerald Street levy project.
Gerald Street levy project, I have finished the HMIA study. I'm going through and we're double checking some numbers because we want to make sure that we're not overstating or understating some flow. But that should be uploaded by Friday morning. And you will get a receipt once it's uploaded, so you will know it's been submitted.
So as far as that, for permits,
Right now, that's the last thing that we're being requested on that particular permit.
Update on the ring levies in Pierpont and Bell River.
Ring levies in Pierpont, as I stated at the last meeting, we are redoing some of the design there on the permit drawings to reduce the impact footprint that is being calculated in the wetlands according to the Army Corps of Engineers. They have set a deadline for us to submit those changes on December 29th. As it stands right now, we will be meeting that deadline. The drawings are done. We're making adjustments because I'm trying to get anything I can to get below the 0.1 acres. When we started with the base design, it was at 0.45. And right now I'm down to about 0.25. So I'm trying to see if there's some other things that we could do shifting wise and so forth to get us below the 0.1. But we will be submitting it one way or the other before the 29th.
Okay, update on Lee Drive project.
Nothing more really to update there. He is working on the punch list. The only real items that he has left is to tie in some driveways. However, with the holidays coming, he's having difficulty getting asphalt at this point because a lot of those plants have shut down.
lawyers too.
So as soon as he's able to get asphalt, he'll be back on that.
Update on Shell Beach boat landing.
Shell Beach Boat Landing, the authorization was issued. I received an email last week requesting a permit fee. I forwarded that to Kim. I actually spoke to her this evening. I'm gonna go ahead and remit those fees tomorrow. And that should bring about the release of that permit.
The fee was spent.
Hmm?
The fee.
It was approximately $165.
You gonna pay for that?
Yeah.
To recreation.
I think you got $165. Thank you, Mr. Irvin.
Thank you, Mr. Irvin. Thank you, Mr. Irvin.
All right,
Miss
that's
you,
it,
man.
Joseph.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Ron, second by Michael, all in favor. Opposed?
You don't have no more, huh?
No, I don't.
Your address is on there? So it'll take about a minute.
We'll call to order our 5:50 public hearing committee, public hearing for the proposed budgets for 2024. Is there any public comment on the proposed budgets for 2024? Second call. Last call. Let the record reflect there was no public comment in the public hearing. Motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Motion.
Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Nakane. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing closed.
20 seconds.
We'll call order the 6 o'clock regular meeting of the Assumption Parish Police Jury. Let the record reflect all members are here except for Mr. Pineville.
Let Pat lead the prayer.
Yeah, we're ready. Mr. Pat Johnson's gonna lead us in prayer.
God who teaches us by sending the light of his Holy Spirit into our hearts, grant that by the light of that Spirit, right judgment may be ours, and that we may forever find joy in his guidance.
Mr. Como is gonna lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment period. We now accept public comment for any item on the agenda. Second call. Last call. Let the record reflect was no public comment. Finance Committee report. Finance Committee met at 4:30. All members were present. Received approval to pay list of bills submitted through December 15th, 2023. We approved to pay bills submitted from December 18th, 2023 through end of year. We reviewed the budget comparison statements for major funds for November of 2023. We approved the cooperative agreement renewal between Assumption Parish Police Jury and the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office to house female pretrial detainees. We approved the engagement letter with Eisner Amper for audit services for 2023. We heard the amended budgets, the amended budget for 2023 and approved it. And we had one deviation. We had one deviation to approve the president to sign the LWOP Second Amendment, $11,000 for water assistance program.
Motion to approve your report.
Motion to approve by Mr. Nakane, second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Personnel Committee report, Chairman Diaz.
Personnel Committee met at 5 o'clock. All members were present except Mr. Conville. Item number 1 was approved to increase for all department heads. Item number 2, approved the recommendations for distribution of excess increase for 2024. I believe this in the form of a motion.
Motion by Mr. Diaz,
Second.
second by Mr. Nakane. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Insurance Committee report, Chairman Alcorn.
Yeah, the Insurance Committee met this afternoon. All members were present except for Mr. Pineville. We only have one item on the agenda. We approved the 2024 Workers' Compensation renewal proposal with Simmons and Savoy and LWCC in the amount of $151,336. I give you this in the form of a motion.
Motion by Mr. Alcorn,
Second.
second by Mr. Diaz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Engineering Grants Committee report.
Yes, the Engineering Grants Committee met this afternoon. All members were present except for Mr. Ponville. We were given an update on the funding sources by GIS Engineering. We approved and authorized the president to sign an amendment to the water sector program contract with Infinity Engineering Consultant LLC. And was given an update on Attacker, Paul Landing, courthouse renovation, Jolie Moore Street drainage, Bertrandville drainage, Gerald Street levee project, ring levees in Pierpont and Bell River, Lee Drive project, and the Shell Beach boat landing. And we only had one approval on here, but that's all in the form of a motion.
Motion by Mr. Como, second by Mr. Mathern. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing report. We had a public hearing at 5:50. There was no public comment.
We have two items here because the budget message was not submitted to you all in November. I was not present at that meeting. So I have it presented to you all here for approval. And as a separate line item, the proposed budgets for 2020. What is the message? It should be in the packet.
It's in the packet.
Yeah. It basically is a summary of the 2024 and what the budget highlights were.
Motion by Mr. Diaz to approve the budget message for proposed budgets for 2024, second by Mr. Alcorn. All in favor? Opposed? Entertain a motion to accept the proposed budgets for 2024.
So moved.
Mr. Alcorn, second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Discuss drainage pump at 1470 Highway 402 and Ward 6.
I think the gentleman left, but, this is a guy in my ward. About 12 years ago, the jury made an agreement with him. He built his levees. They provided him a pump. They did provide him a pump. That pump had went out. And to replace that pump is $2,650. I would like to do that, out of my 2024 budget.
Make a motion.
I suggest we table it till we get in 2024.
That's
And
fine.
just put it back on the agenda.
That's fine.
Okay.
All right. This item will be tabled and
Just put it
added
on the next
to the
agenda.
Drainage Committee
Yeah.
meeting for the first January meeting. Update on water meter reconciliation study, Mr. Kevin Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, other members of the jury. You all have the document that we prepared and submitted to you. I'm just gonna go real quick and tell you kind of how we got to where we are and then kind of give you an idea where we need to go. So we entered this contract in December of last year. We asked for the water meter database from both Entergy, Sleeka, not the water meter, but the Entergy's database and also Sleeka's database early on in 2023. We received the Waterworks' database pretty early, but they had considerable amount of problems with the database and how it was delivered to us. So we worked with several iterations in trying to clean it up, and we were successful to do that with them. We then obtained Entergy's database in March. And we also obtained Sleeka's database in May. Typically, this would have been pretty quickly, but there was new people at each of the energy companies. They were unfamiliar with the process that we had done many years before, so that each of them had to run the process through their legal authority to be able to give out that database. But we were successful in being able to get it. What we then did when we received all the databases and rectified them, we matched them up against each other. And what we were looking for were obvious anomalies where people would have had energy connections but without water connections, because that's obvious that if you have energy, you may need water if you're a bona fide occupied structure. When we did that, if you turn to page 3, you'll see that the energy records out of 8,400, 1,400 were found not to have a water meter. And subsequently, the Sleeka database, we found 395 anomalies where people had electricity but did not have water meter address. Now, still, you may have a name of a street misnamed. It could have been just a variation in how they spelled the name, and maybe you had 102 Oak and it might have been 102 Oak Street and it didn't match up. So from those anomalies, what we did is we sent out staff, 3 inspectors, I think for a period of about a 2-week period, going throughout the parish to inspect each and every anomaly. If you turn to page 4, we obviously knew that there was an unknown structure. We wanted to know if it was a viable house structure, a secondary house like an apartment, a bunkhouse possibly, manufactured home, a houseboat possibly, commercial apartments, businesses, and exempt structures. And we went through the definitions of each, and we sent our inspectors out to do each of those inspections. So from the anomalies that we found, the 1,400 and the 1,395, you had roughly about 1,800 anomalies. And what you'll see in the back report is an inspection report of every one of those anomalies. And we have narrowed it down to 1,297 total. We believe that somewhere in a range of about 800 to about 900, that you will find that there are probable structures that are receiving water that are not receiving a water bill. So to be able to accurately get exactly who is not paying, you have to go to the Waterworks database, and you have to go through each and every one of these anomalies. So you started with roughly 9,000 possibilities. Now we're narrowed it down to 1,200. To be able to do that, you got to have your staff and Waterworks staff and go through each of these anomalies and say, or figure out why there isn't a meter. That could be they may already be getting a double bill for that particular address. We don't know that. We don't see that on the Waterworks database. So, we believe that this is going to bring to you guys sizable amounts of revenue that you aren't collecting today, but it's still going to take some investigative action from Waterworks and your staff to be able to make this complete. We're willing to offer any kind of other assistance that we can give to you in understanding terminology and whatnot, but it's going to take them to have to clean their databases up. Now, once that is done, going forward should be quite easy, because it's, as I'm told, to obtain a water meter today, you have to come in and get a permit. So that should create a database linkage back to the main database, which is Waterworks and 911. So good to go after that is rectified. But so does anyone have any questions?
Terry,
Yes.
when we did this agreement, if I'm not mistaken, did we also ask y'all to help us with the sewer account? And y'all said that y'all would be able to help us with that.
The sewer account? I'm not familiar with that.
The people that's on the stand where it's got a sewer system provided, but not paying the sewer fee.
Well, as I appreciated the sewer, oh, I see what you're saying. So there could be a package plant that may be out there that you're trying to identify people that aren't paying. No, I'm not aware that that was in this study, but it could quite easily be determined if those people who are owed sewage or should be paying sewage in that particular range of addresses, that we have a known address. Some of those facilities might have shut down. Some houses may be abandoned now, so you can't collect from them. But if it's a bona fide address and they're living there, well, then you should be able to collect. The same process we could do that. We could do that fairly.
So you got a tool here that we have, at the end of the day, 1,200 some odd addresses.
Right.
We'll sit down, we'll get one of our employees to sit down with the Waterworks employees and go address to address. Look at the billing system.
It's not going to require them to go out in the field, most likely, because we've already done that.
Right.
What it's going to require them to do is check their databases and to see if there's a double bill already being, given, or if there's exceptions. If they have, like a trailer park, they may have provided a letter that we can't see that exempts them from having to get a garbage can, right?
Right.
So in instances where there are multiple residences on a single water meter, and we know that they pay multiple minimum usage water fees, those are excluded from this list of roughly 1,200.
I don't believe they are. We use the database that the Waterworks provided, and there is a case where, as you indicated, that going through the database, you may find those. Right. The other thing that's in this report is your anomalies of street names. An example is Canal Road is also Highway 401. There was many that one database had the highway address and the other database had Canal Road. Bruley St. Martin is another example. So I cleaned up a bunch of that. already and went to both databases, and if it was named one and the other, would clean that up already. But with that list, it's gonna take a person to go there and meet with the waterworks and figure out if that's the case. If they paying those doubles or triples that's showing up in your anomaly.
Waterworks didn't identify that on the database they provided, I guess is what you're asking. But they'll be able to determine that when they go through this quite easily.
Right, and I guess the one scenario that I'm familiar with, it's not on here, and that's why I would have expected it to be.
Well,
you know, because they do have multiple garbage fees and multiple minimum usage water fees on a single water meter. And it should be 5 electric meters basically on that one water meter. But that address doesn't show up on here. That's why I was kind of not sure. That's why I was asking. If it was
so
included.
they have 5 water meters, or they're one water meter, but they're being billed 5 different times. But they have how many electric meters?
5.
They have 5 meters.
Right. No, they only have one water meter, 5 electric meters.
Okay.
But they are billed 5 times the water minimum usage fee, and they're billed for each garbage.
Well, if it was in that list, it's in this report.
Well, but the database might have caught that, and it's not on here because they caught it as being correct.
Okay, and that's what I was wondering if those were caught or not.
Some
Some cases it's caught in the database review, in some cases it has not. Because I can tell you an example, there's a big business in Bylaws that's on the list probably 10 times, 10 different electric meters, but it's an industrial facility. It's got dumpster services and so forth, one water meter. So it's in the list. Somebody's gonna have to scrub it out because we left it in the list, but we identified it as an industrial facility and it's a business. So it's gonna take a person to review all of this and go through it and do your due diligence and scrubbing some of that out.
So I know you mentioned you corrected some of the addresses. Like I know Highway 1 is known as Bayou Road on some of the list and so forth. But the street numbers for the Bayou Road number doesn't match the 911 address for Highway 1. Have you gone through all of those, or are there still someone here that need to be
that will
rectified?
probably be in this list.
I believe all of that has been scrubbed already. I did an extensive search on all of those and those areas, especially Rue St. Martin, Shell Beach Road, Bell River Road, those that have the highway number and the name, and kind of work through the list to kind of eliminate those, so no one's trying to chase those, so to speak.
Sure. So you have basically the 1,297 that we initially went out and inspected. That's what you're going to be going through. So, but of those 1,297, we know that there are some reasonable reasons why there were no water meters present. And could have been a boathouse, could have been a boat, could have been a shed with no habitable structure in it.
All of your pump stations.
All of your pump stations, and it's all identified in here. So whoever's gonna go back of this, they don't have to check roughly 8,000 other records. Now they're down to only basically about 1,000.
And this had no, I guess, cross-check. I would like to think that we're pretty close with the garbage collection and the water meters, because they had that database when they handed out the garbage cans, but
I don't think you will be so close.
And I guess that's another step that we're gonna have to take to compare the garbage collection for each of these addresses.
Yes.
You know,
That's the whole.
That's the whole
point.
premise
That's
of
the
this
point.
report.
No, I understand. I'm just trying to see what our next step is in getting to that point, because what I'm wondering is how many of that roughly 8,000 that did check out had a water meter, and electric meter, aren't paying for garbage.
Well, they are paying for water because they wouldn't have checked out.
But
Paying for water, not paying for
I'm
garbage.
saying paying for
Oh,
garbage.
well, then that's something you gotta look at. Waterworks has to,
And the reason why I'm thinking that that has to be the case is because the number of garbage cans that were handed out far exceeds the 8,000 number that we have records of.
The
Water meters
Waterworks
too.
has it coded in their database as different, but we don't know what those codes are to be able to do our work. So I know they have it coded differently for different folks, because the elderly gets There's a lot of things that have been done over the years. We don't know what those codes mean, and we didn't use those codes. We just used whether they had an electric meter or a water meter.
John, question for you. If we gave y'all the parameters of the sewer districts, would y'all be able to just flag the addresses if they on this list to say they in or out?
We could. It's a little work now because someone's gonna have to figure out the range of addresses. Because I know that over time, you sometimes extend your range and pick up other people, and then especially on some of the government sewer projects, some residents were qualified for the connections and some didn't. And the sanitarian has to go out and make sure everyone connects to the system. So it's sometimes
Contingent on the
difficult to
ranges,
do that. Is my point.
How many systems you have? Yeah. It would take somebody to go out and create the ranges, address, you know, from the lowest to the highest.
Yeah.
And then we could run the,
Some of
we
them
could
are-
run the queue.
Yeah, but that's all we're collecting for.
Oh, okay.
We have a lot more collected, a lot more connected to the system than what we're collecting.
Correct. And over time that, I know when we, because I was involved in several of them, that some folks qualified for the connection and some folks had to pay for it. And then it's up to the sanitarian to make sure that everybody connects to it. And whether that happened or not, sometimes falls through the cracks.
All right, so our next step here is identifying somebody that's symptom for water. Anybody in your office do that?
No, I didn't.
First of these, anybody in your office do this? I know, I mean, I always rely on Carol for the license. She knew the parish like the back of my hand, you know, but. She does know.
Those addresses for
She
sure.
know addresses and stuff, you know.
Mhm.
I mean, I like to task Carol with this,
Yeah, you got any idea how you can, and I know you, folks are just doing their job, but I think compensation would be the right word, but if there'd be some type of recognition for such. I'm just asking.
No, they'd be paid their hourly wage for whatever time they put in.
Tommy, you said others could cover her post?
How long this would take? It shouldn't take that long to sit down there.
Well, Paul had said that he would assist Carol, so I don't foresee a big Carol.
It won't take no more than 2 weeks to do this.
You should. 200 hours a day.
It's gonna take longer than that. I agree.
It's gonna take about
30
30
days?
days.
It's gonna take longer than that.
Well, we're at the mercy of BJ
But-
also.
But the sooner we start, we can at least get a few of
Right,
them up
yeah.
You
on the
need to get
system.
started and do it, but I think it's gonna take longer than 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
Got you.
Yeah, because
All right.
Kevin made reference to
Investigation.
different detail, you know, each situation will be a little different.
No, we wanna have all our T's and.
We're gonna need some of that documentation.
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely. They're gonna have the next year.
I'm sorry.
They're gonna have the next year, but they ain't too far.
All
All right, Mr. Malone, you got another
book like this? What's that?
Good.
Yeah, I can give you-
I got some wrong.
You sent it to.
Oh, okay, all right.
Sure.
Is there any, I guess we'll call it columns in this data that were hidden for this report that might have any other information that we could maybe use as far as for if it looks like someone is living there versus not living there? I know it says habitable, but just to see if there are certain addresses that we know are vacant or.
Well, the investigation, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, but the terms we used, habitable, that would be the number one point where you start from. That's the one that you want to really hit first. That you really know, the bunkhouses and the houseboats and all those, I would really think that you could throw those out already.
Yeah, the ones that were obviously not occupied,
Right.
those are out the list. There's many that's questionable because we didn't go in a structure.
But Leroy, we can give you the digital copy and you can go through it and you can figure out what addresses and take it out of the numerical and just start focusing on that. We did it so it'd be easier for you to go through with waterworks.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to separate them by area more than.
And we can do
the
it for you
numeric.
if you don't have the means to do it, but it's quite easy.
Was it in Excel?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can query the database right now, the report is printed numerically.
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
But the office has the capability to query it out by the names instead and make it, dress it up a little better for somebody to work. If you want everything on Highway 1, you can pull out just the Highway 1, everything on 401 and just do separate that way.
Yeah.
It's just to print the report for you,
Sure.
they just did
No,
it
that's
numerically.
Okay, so if you had a electric going to a shed and no water meter, you was on the list.
That's correct. That's correct. Right.
But we also went out and investigated. If we saw it as a shed, we labeled it as a unoccupied shed.
So when we go to
Uninhabitable.
Waterworks and pull up that address, they should be paying for,
If it's uninhabitable, no. If it's uninhabitable,
if it
no.
has a water meter on it.
No, his-
You don't say you don't have a water.
No, I'm talking about if it has a
Yeah.
water meter,
Yeah.
then we want to pick up that.
Yeah, I don't have a water
notification.
meter.
But all of this in the list doesn't have the water meter. The question is, do they have water and is it being occupied
Right.
and not paying a double or whatever on the meter? And so,
That's what we want.
we did our best to try to figure it out, but we didn't go in any structure. We just basically from the street, looked at it and made a judgment whether it was habitable or not.
And basically, our employees aren't gonna be able to go in structures either.
No.
So we have quite a few of them where there's a trailer and they put a little camper trailer and they run a whole pipe.
Those on there.
You go get those.
They got many of those on there.
Those are
Sure made it
habitable.
hard to find them.
They on there.
You did about
It's
addresses.
just because there's so many anomalies that.
They on there. Okay.
All right, let's move.
Thank you.
Y'all.
And we'll be back in touch for the sewer reconciliation study, but I think we need to get a good handle on this one and how we're gonna proceed through it before we get too far down the road on that.
And listen, John and I spoke earlier. If y'all need, when the two people get together, if y'all need us to be there, just to kind of, you know, for-
Start it off.
just to start you off on how you gotta go, we'll do that.
You that kid?
I think sometimes.
Hey, we don't owe them nothing.
Well, I mean, BJ may say that we have to pay for his staff member to do this.
But then we have a contract with Kevin and them to do.
Yeah, we may not. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, we're trying to help them collect water fees too.
They're gonna have an advantage of this list.
They need to correct their database.
Yeah,
It was bad.
there's an advantage for them to get that.
Were there any addresses that were unable to be located that had water meters?
Yes. So, and some of that I was able to, sorry, so some of that I was able to rectify because they were in St. Martin Parish, for instance.
Okay.
That is connected to our water system and somehow it made our list, but I took them out as an unknown and knowing that it was there. So there are a few that's in there as unknown and you're not gonna find them because they're not in Assumption Parish.
Okay, but there may be some water meters that had addresses that didn't correlate to an electric meter address. So they're showing up as having electric but no water, when they really would have a water meter. We just don't know how it's being billed from the water company or.
Because the Entergy and Sleekup databases sometimes are not accurate. And then we found a couple of those. The St. Martin Parish, the St. Mary Parish, they were in the other parish. And knowing the parish, I was able to eliminate those out the database because they were not in Assumption.
And you eliminated those that had electric service but no water service. Not that they just don't have a meter.
If
that
it
they
was
don't have
obvious.
Water
If it
service
was
to that
obvious,
area.
yes.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, John and Kevin. Next item, request approval of amendment to CEA for the implementation of the Louisiana State Uniform Construction Code for Louisiana between APPJ and South Central Planning and Development Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Each year in July, we get together as a code council, your representative and all the others around the region. And we get together and we look at past usages and we try to figure out how we can keep the autonomy and sustain the process going forward. What always seems to throw a wrench into this process is a storm, BP, blowout, some anomaly that happens that causes a lot of inspections or permits within a tornado, could be in St. James, where one parish gets inundated and then they have a rush to permits. And the following years, they have to pay for increased usage. So what we have found over the last 7 years, we have always tried to levelize, similar to what Entergy does with their billing, where no one parish, like for instance, when the parish of Terrebonne was hit substantially with some of the hurricanes in the past, it would have meant that they would have been paying probably for 2 or 3 years an abundance of the fees. At that time, Assumption was also hit. So we also leveled out for Terrebonne and Assumption. St. Mary wasn't a part of our process at the time, but we leveled it out. What we found in this last year, Hurricane Ida came through, impacted Lafourche, Terrebonne, St. Charles, St. John, very serious. Terrebonne and Lafourche aren't in our program any longer, but St. John and St. Charles was. We calculated that having St. Charles pay their utilization of what they had paid in the past and what their usage was the prior year, it would have really put forth a huge number to St. Charles, where we estimated that they would have paid, well, what we're estimating they would pay now, 605, is kind of what they're paying today. But they would probably ended up paying about 875,000. So to not upset the apple cart, there are some areas where there are diminishing returns. So what I mean by that is if St. Charles believes that they can do it on their own or cheaper, they will do so. And any other parish will do the same. St. James will do the same thing. So we levelize the billing, and I'm happy to tell you that we pretty much maintained the cost to everybody throughout the region. I want to go back and identify, because when we first started this program, we had Lafourche and Terrebonne, but we didn't have St. Charles and St. Mary. So Lafourche and Terrebonne backed out, but we gained St. Mary and St. Charles. St. Charles has an enormous amount of activity because of the refineries, a lot of the commercial expansions in their area, which is really good for business for us. But I go back in 2007, and we started this program with $1.8 million in 2007. The population that we serve today is almost the same as we did in 2007, probably about 20 to 30,000 population less. But the number of permits are higher than they were when we first started. We started at 1.8 million. Today, we're at 1.669 million, 17 years later. I looked at the CPI today. CPI is going up 45%. If you do the math on that, it equates to what it should be today. If we wanted to keep pace, the fees would be 2.6 million. We're $1 million less. So you ask yourself, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. How do you do that? There's a good reason. We expanded services in Baton Rouge. We're doing work in Livingston. So when we hire an inspector, if he's not doing work here and has idle time, he's doing work in plan reviews or inspections in other areas that we can bill directly to. And that offsets the cost to you. If we need them here, we have them. So it'd be like if you had an employee that you had to hire. If you had to hire a building official, you can't take him on and off the clock. He's either on or he's off. So if you pay that building official, and typically a building official in Lafourche and Terrebonne, it's about 110, 15,000 plus benefits. So you're right at about $150,000 for that one guy.
Yeah, but let's get down to the nuts and bolts.
So-
What's the amendment?
So the amendment is to carry it forward to the next year. The amendment is because your term ended, and we wanted to offer to you to renew it so we can go sustain it from thereafter. You always have the ability to get out if you want. I think there's a 30-day clause that you can get out of this contract at any time. But I want to just complete what I was going to tell you, if you don't mind. To keep the budget static, our commission dumped into this revenue neutral program $50,000 of our general fund. If we wouldn't, and what we did that for, the city of Thibodeau has expressed an interest in coming in, but they haven't committed. If they do commit, well, then we'll take back out 50, and it will reduce somewhat some of the budget. I am told that there's consideration moving forward in Terrebonne. If they were to come back in, everybody's numbers, including Terrebonne, would come down substantially because it's an economy of scale. But we would like to just renew the contract, have you pass this amendment so we can continue to do the services for you. The things that you get, we represent you legally. If there's any challenges, and there's been a few challenges in this parish where we've had to go to court, we've absorbed all of that cost. We absorb all of the software costs. Nothing is passed on to you. We provide all of the training for free for any people that go out of the program. We have to replace them. We don't charge for that. We do that in-house because we subsidize it with other means from other areas. And today we have 2 to 3 more inspectors than we did last year. So the service time has gotten better for everybody. And the way that we're able to do it, I'll remind you again that we're subsidizing the program from other areas from the time that's being spent when they're not being used for our services, for our needs. So my expectation is that you would renew it. It's a great service, keeps you in compliance. There's, in my opinion, I'm speaking on my behalf, that I just can't believe this parish would be able to do it no less than 300,000 if they chose to do it on their own. You got to go out, buy your vehicles, pay the fuel, pay the insurance, the professional liability insurance. You got to represent them legally. I mean, the added cost is going to go astronomical.
I don't think we're interested in doing it in-house whatsoever.
I do have a question for
So-
you. In the other parishes that your services are being used, is there any enforcement in those parishes as far as for, I guess, a proactive approach to see if someone is building without a permit?
The ones that aren't using us?
No, the ones that
are.
you are. Do you have experience in other parishes?
Yes, we do. And, you know, they rely on us to catch those people mainly. And we travel those areas and we pretty much do that for them. But there are parishes like St. Charles that has code enforcement officers. They go out for nuisance abatement. And if they notice any of that building going on, they report it and then it's subsequently investigated. And if sometimes we have to put a stop work order, et cetera, et cetera. We try not to be overzealous, but if it's obvious, if it's a major build, we will stop and ask, hey, you know, are you doing what you should be doing? We'd rather stop them and save them money than to let them go forward and have to tear things out.
Are you doing that currently in Assumption Parish?
We do, yes. I mean, again, we try not to be overzealous. It's this jury's position to not be overzealous, and we've done everything in our power to be consistent. As I've said, if we see something very obvious and illegal, we're going to notify the parish. We're going to notify the parish, hey, look, we got a problem over here, what you want us to do. Typically, they'll tell us, go put a stop work and we'll go do it. We don't issue a stop work without the parish knowing. And without them being.
We ain't had one of those, as far as my knowledge.
Yeah.
It's been a while. But you say obvious, you know.
It's gotta be very obvious.
It's unobvious that what we didn't catch, but that we like catching it.
Again, it's how much toleration you all have for compliance.
I know it.
It's a very,
I know. That we had
it's a
it
very strong balancing act.
I can remember the most obvious one we had.
Yeah, right. So anyway, I mean, I'll make a motion to approve.
I just have a question. There's no reference in here about to the amount, but then it says that it's under the same terms and conditions as the original amendment.
Right, so you're giving us the authority to move it as you did in the original. But the amount that you are allocating would be $150,918.32 for the.
I know, but we don't want to reference something in the contract about.
Well, if we did that every year, we're gonna have to come back and amend that amount. So ratification of what the SCRCC is doing, that action.
What is the original contract reference? Do you recall?
I think it referenced that the SCRCC would, I don't have it in front of me, the whole contract, but I believe that the reference was that the jury would reflect back to the SRCC's motions and so forth, because the representatives that are on that council are proxies for the parish presidents.
This RCC is what?
South Central Regional Construction Code Council.
That amount versus last year, tip of that.
It's just slightly above. I mean, you might have been at 147, 146 in that area. I don't remember what it was, but I remember hearing it was just slightly above.
All right.
But the main thing is,
Motion, Jeff. Yeah, my motion.
I'll second this
We have a motion by Mr. Nakane, second by Mr. Alcorn to approve the amendment to the CEA for the implementation of the Louisiana State Uniform Construction Code for Louisiana between Assumption Parish Police Jury and South Central Planning and Development Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Introduction of amendments to ordinance chapter 26-47.A 5 through 16 with regard to additional standards for manufactured mobile home parks or communities, requirements, and call for a public hearing for amendments to ordinance chapter 26-47.A 5 through 16 with regard to additional standards for manufactured mobile home parks or communities requirements. And I believe everyone received a Word document with some track changes in it from Mr. Claymore. I guess I know there were basically 3 changes made to it. So one that I'm not sure of is, I guess the requirement for each unit to have its own water meter.
So that was not in the ordinance before, but the 2 mobile home parks we did this year, I was asked to make sure each person had their own water meter. So since it wasn't in there and y'all, well not, y'all, but 1 or 2 jurors asked me to make sure they had it, I figured we should put it in.
But I just want to make sure that we understand that in order to accomplish that, it would have to be a water line that satisfies basically the subdivision ordinance to service all of these mobile homes. You can't run a small water line for all of these. It'll have to be, basically a minimum flow water line.
How they servicing them now?
Understood.
Well, they could have a single commercial meter with multiple attachments to it. And that's what I'm just wanting to make sure that we're clear that it is going to require possibly some additional infrastructure on the developer of the trailer park to run that water line.
When it's a big trailer park.
That's a big trailer park.
Yeah, for new trailer parks.
Yeah, and mobile home. Well, it's not, it's just for mobile home manufacturing.
Anybody got any other comments as pertains to this? I know we've been talking about it for a minute. Got a motion to have a public hearing?
All right, motion by Mr. Alcorn for call for a public hearing.
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Can we go back to the item before for a second that Mr. Kevin was talking about? So would y'all, they don't really enforce it as much as they can in our parish, and that's basically at our request from years ago. Can we change that to make them have stricter enforcement and help us out with that?
It's possible, and I would just like to have us put that to at least next year so that the new jury
Can decide on
can
that?
decide on that rather than the
Okay.
current sitting jury.
You want it on the agenda for the January
Yeah,
10th meeting?
He'll have it, he'll have it.
I'll fix it.
No problem. You need some help.
Item 13, request approval to adopt resolution approving the holding of an election in Gravity Drainage District Number 2 of the Parish of Assumption, Louisiana on Saturday, April 27th, 2024, to authorize the levy of an acreage tax therein.
So move.
What's that, Kim?
That's Bell River, that's not Bell River, that's,
Highway 1, that's, I mean,
Highway
308.
1,
I'm
that's
sorry,
east of the
308.
parish going towards.
308, not Highway
308, 308, yeah.
It starts there, but.
Baker Canal.
Is that an
basically.
existing
It's
election?
exist- They were supposed to do it in November. I don't know what happened.
I was asking if April 27th is an existing. if there's
Yeah, you're
already
gonna
an
have, you're
election
gonna,
on it.
well, April 20, I think in April, you're gonna have some judges races come up. So.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. Alcorn, second by Mr. Nakane, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Update on mosquito abatement routes and services.
So, they'll put this on the agenda. So I kind of threw that thing together, since Monday, since finding out it was gonna be on the agenda, because I really wasn't planning to do this until after the year, after the first. But, so I didn't have it to give to you guys early. Apologies. So if y'all have a chance to look at it during the meeting, you have any questions about it, and that's, like I said, just the last 2 days of me putting together ideas and thinking of ways to improve the program, and
I think it incorporated a lot of the comments that we had.
yeah, that's what I tried to do.
But I didn't get to go through it in detail, like you said. But one question I had is the no spraying if temperature is below 70 degrees.
So you can ask Mr. Baum, when we went to the conference, I talked to a couple different abatement districts, and they don't spray if the mosquitoes aren't. I'm not saying they're not out, but they're not in the abundance normally when it's below 70 degrees to where you should be spraying.
I don't know where they went.
And I,
I don't know where they.
So everything-
I see them when it's in the thirties.
I understand, and
They
there's
must be wearing
different
their
mosquitoes.
jackets.
Yeah.
They're still out below 70.
And so look, I have since we met 3 weeks ago, I just went on our weather meter that's at OEP and checked, and 5 o'clock when it turns dark, the average temperature in those 3 weeks has been 59 degrees. At 59 degrees, we shouldn't be spraying for mosquitoes. We just shouldn't.
Well, I
When we
guess
spray,
I'd like us to put some emphasis on that previous bullet that you have there, is that it's based on the landing rates of the mosquitoes.
well, we're not currently doing that.
I think you could stop
I
spraying when
understand
it
that.
gets in the 90s, because it's too hot for them to come out.
They've been tearing you up.
yeah,
No, I think if we had some sort of the landing count.
We have to, and I'm gonna need employees to help me with that. It's not just me can do the landing count. I can't be.
They have to be done.
Everywhere at once.
They have to be done at the same time at dusk, right when the sun, you have to put out people in multiple parts of the parish to do it.
And these are thresholds I've taken from other parishes, so that's a working number depending on it's not set in stone. It's just what other people use.
I think something else you would have to take into consideration is like in an area where it's all homes and houses, they're not gonna be as bad as where there's next to some woods.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I would have the people take the land rates at their
Yeah.
home. Whoever employee did it, whoever employees did it. And I mean, with all this being said, the whole reason why we want to make changes to be better, but the biggest reason why we're doing this is because we're asking for an increase.
Yeah.
So I don't know if y'all want to make a decision on that tonight. but-
No, I think we need to
It'll
look
be
at it
hard
and
to
see.
give an increase and then cut the time down.
We're not cutting down the time. We normally don't, like, we've never went this late. We've always since I've been doing it, we've always stopped. Halloween was always like the last day.
Most of the
And we've never
directors,
started before Easter.
most of the directors said this year was an anomaly. They've
Huge
never seen this
anomaly.
year before like this ever. With this drought and these mosquitoes late in the year, they all said the
There was
same
an
thing.
explosion in the
That's
population.
correct. It's
when the
nothing
drought
that they've never
Unexpected.
seen before.
Like, we were all good at the summer, it wasn't too bad, and then all of a sudden,
The
But
mosquitoes
Landon
still
County will
bad.
tell you.
They still
when
popping.
you spraying and how often, so.
yeah.
Gentlemen, the only thing I want to share is that we can't kick this to the curb and lose 6 months of collections because we can't operate out next year. And what we have. I think we need some action on this, not
Understood.
tonight,
Yeah,
but
so do you, I know I guess, maybe over the course of the next couple of weeks, can you look at costs associated with some of these? And how that impacts the previous recommendations that you had of your increases?
I'll try to dig deeper into some of them.
'Cause I don't know, I guess the landing counts, you're looking at using more volunteers to do that, or?
I mean, I think the minimum an employee can charge time to is 30 minutes. So you're looking for a minute's worth of work for 30 minutes, but somebody has to do it. They're literally gonna stand outside for a minute, count the number of mosquitoes that land on them. If it's above 7, we start spraying the next week or the following day, whatever, however you want to do it. But they only work for a minute, but they charge 30. That's just
We charging close to about an hour, so.
the way it is.
And then who would it gotta go in?
Unless y'all wanna contribute.
couldn't they do it?
Do you, get many
They don't
people
have
calling y'all about spraying?
It's, I mean, not, I wouldn't say many, but we get maybe 10 to 20 this year.
Well, the ones that
which is a
call
huge
have them
number.
do the count.
We gonna be up there.
I think we'll have a number of people that would sign up to be a volunteer. for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
mosquito
Oh,
counters.
Yeah, but we need people that are going.
we need
Honestly.
accurate count.
I
Give me a
understand,
high count.
we got it.
Go to these jurors, they do lots of.
All right, well, thank you for putting this together. No action on that tonight. Item 15, we're gonna table. Item 16, request approval of 2024 meeting and holiday schedules.
Anything changed, Kim?
I mean, the dates changed, but
So,
our normal,
17.
The number of the holidays changes a little bit just because of days
yeah,
of
the
the
way
week
it
that they
falls,
fall.
yeah, but,
You
there's
don't
no-
need some more holidays?
Got 15.
Up on here.
I can tell you that the state declared January 2nd a holiday, but if employees want to get paid, we just can't do it. Can't get the work done.
Well, you can't only follow the state.
There's 18 days on this list for holidays. That's
You're probably gonna want the day after Christmas off too, the 26th, the Monday. Everything else gonna be closed again, so.
So y'all don't want January the 2nd off?
Can't do it. If you want employees to get paid on the Friday, it can't happen.
Oh, you gotta.
Because we close the Friday, the Monday, and that would be the
Seven like it
Tuesday.
is.
Payroll has to be finished by Wednesday. Road and Bridge, I'll never get time, and it takes me a day and a half.
Yeah, we can approve any extra holidays
Can't.
if it, especially if it affects payroll.
Just can't get done. That's a payroll week. We're gonna be down to the wire even with working the Tuesday. We can't. It's unfortunate, but
Vote on the floor to seven.
motion by Mr. Mathern, second by Mr. Diaz, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. I do have a couple deviations. First one is related to Hurricane Ida in May of 2021 flood funds that were committed to Assumption Parish for Resilient Communities Infrastructure Program and Hometown Revitalization Program. Can I get a motion to deviate? Motion by Mr. Johnson. Second by Mr. Nakam. All in favor? Opposed? All right, so I received a call on this today, and Mr. Thomas was given the letter that we had last month, and he didn't realize that he needed to act on it, I guess, whenever he received it. We have to give notice that we are willing to accept these funds. What they have is $484,206.82 in Resilient Communities Infrastructure Program and $400,808.03 in Hometown Revitalization Program. At this time, we have it's not necessary for us to commit to what projects we would put those funds at, but we just have to authorize
Give them a letter.
me to notify them that we're willing to accept the funds. If we don't accept them by Friday, they're gonna go back into the pool and go to other parishes.
Is there a match with that?
There is no match for these.
And what projects could you use those funds for?
All right, well, so there was a meeting on December 12th that discussed that, and unfortunately, we didn't have a representative at that meeting to get it. But she did say that she would send us the information, and she did send me more emails while we've been in the meeting here with the types of projects that were covered. She said it's mainly infrastructure type projects. So the courthouse may be a good project that we can look at putting this money towards, since it doesn't have a match. But once we get that, we'll get a CEA from them, and we have 3 months to produce a plan from the time that we execute the CEA to generate a plan of how we're gonna spend the funds so that they can approve it.
How much is it?
A total of 884,000 between two different projects. Yes, two different programs. But there are, some low-to-mide requirements, some disadvantaged communities requirements, things like that we're familiar with most of these grants. So we have to
The
go through
courthouse
that.
fit in
and
the
come up.
town. There you go.
Motion and authorize the president to sign the documents.
All right. Motion by Mr. Nakane, second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor? Public comment on this item? Second call, last call. All right, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Thomas, I do see the next mandatory meeting is January 18th.
January 18th. Does it give a location or?
Yeah, Claiborne Building in Baton Rouge.
And
I'll scan this to you in the morning.
the last item I'd like to deviate on, it isn't on here, but I'd like to recognize our two members that are not going to be returning with us in January. And they both have given 28 years of service to this parish. And I'd just like to recognize them publicly in the meeting for their years of service. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure.
Don't miss y'all.
All right. And to
We
close out
came
our
on
meeting,
this together and we're leaving together.
I entertain a motion from Mr. Como to adjourn this meeting.
So move.
I entertain a second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor? Opposed? Meeting closed.
You're welcome to the meeting anytime y'all want.
You might do that. We're gonna have to put them in.
Anything I can.
Oh, that was easy.